Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. We have had Chris Rhule, who is my guest today on our show, on 2 separate occasions over the last, I'm going to say 3 years. Chris is the owner of Premier Power Generation. He is a Kohler Titanium dealer. He specializes in whole house generators, and when we've had him on in the past, they were almost timed shortly after an event that caused an electrical outage, power outage. A couple of weeks ago, we had a unnatural power outage, which caused a tremendous amount of pain for a lot of people, much like a storm. But it was much deeper than that. The thing that all weather events and this power outage had in common was that we were all put in harm's way. And I remember the first time, Chris, you were on the show, I had it with storms, and my Brooklyn impatience kicked in, and I was frothing at the mouth. And I wanted a generator come hell or high water. I said, I don't care. I'm not. And you described me as a bird on the wire, that this was it. It was a tipping point. And so I went ahead and we put a generator in at my house, which I sold in 2019. But we went ahead and put another one in at the house where I live right now. And, there are probably a lot of people this weekend who are hoping they have a gift certificate for a whole house generator under their Christmas tree.
That's a great idea, Bill.
After
that's a great idea.
Well, your phone must ring like Santa Claus on Christmas Eve after a storm, after this power outage we had, and you're probably going 24/7.
Basically, that's been it since it happened. That is a bird on the wire, off the wire event, and
right.
And unfortunately, it was a wire that a wire cut, I guess, that we didn't know was going to happen. It's not like a hurricane where it's coming.
Right.
It's not like an ice storm where for a couple of days, there's a chance of This was just, I was putting dishes in the dishwasher.
It was a Saturday evening.
8:36 p.m.
Right.
And bang, the power goes out. And of course, when that happens with me, being in our business, it's a whole bunch of things that I can't say on air right now until the generator comes on and the power's back on, and then we start going into what happened.
Right.
And we didn't have any reports, and so now we have the monitoring systems on the generators. And so there will always be something that's happened. Somebody put a generator in off inadvertently, or a battery dies or something like that when you have as many out as we do. And so those started popping up. Of course, we had no cable TV or anything like that, and so our internet at the house was down.
Right.
And then I go out, and one of the calls was close to me. And so I go out, and everything was pitch black. And I called my wife, and we basically set her up as one of the call points when we have one of these events, because she worked with me, Lisa did, for a long time. And I said, everything is out. What's going on? And I went to the shop and got a couple of batteries on the truck that I knew I was going to need, and was coming back down Morganton Road towards the 15501 intersection, and there was a massive wreck right up in front. I saw it right up in front of me, a bad one. And it was people were driving through intersections without even slowing down.
Right.
So yeah, it was different. This one was different, but the thing about a home standby generator like you have,
Yeah.
that has an automatic transfer switch, which means that's the thing that says, oh, we've lost utility, or Duke power in this case, and I need you to come on, generator, and the generator comes on.
Right.
And the transfer switch transfers your house over to generator power seamlessly.
Right. It's true. I mean, if there was a remote control, I would order it, but there's not.
There's not.
Okay.
No.
But the investment of a whole house generator, if I put my real estate hat on for just a minute, we have spoken on the show many times about the resale value of a home that has a whole house generator.
Mm-hmm.
You may not get more money for the home because you have it.
That's right.
But guess what? That home becomes more compelling to the buyer because you have it.
Yeah.
And people who live here in Moore County with the wires above ground, they understand, a little bit of ice, we could have a power outage for a night.
Oh yeah, easy, or more.
Or more.
And a lot of people that I see, because we do inspections on homes that are being sold on the generator system to verify that the generator system is working and everything like that. I noticed that a lot of people are doing their homework, and they know when they move into the Sandhills, yeah, it's a wonderful area.
Right.
But anytime you have deciduous trees and strong winds in the summertime means that power lines are going down. And anytime you have ice storms in the wintertime and longleaf pines, power's going to go down. So it's not a matter of if that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working with a client, a couple from the Buffalo area, and they know all about snow, and they know all about generators, and they were a little surprised to hear that the reason we need them here so much is because of the ice, not because of the snow.
Right.
Right? The weight on the
Right.
wires, boom.
Right.
Done.
Absolutely. Ice is much worse.
So after these events, my phone rang quite a bit. I spoke to a lot of people. They wanted to ask me how I was doing, and I said, well, I had a whole house generator. I almost felt guilty that I did, because I had heat, I could cook, I had lights.
Pretty normal.
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
I just didn't run a dishwasher, which I don't run anyway, and I just couldn't do any laundry.
You eat off paper plates, Bill? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Chinette, I think they're called. They're really sturdy. They hold up. But I never use the dishwasher.
I would if I could.
So, but I except for the TV and the internet going down,
Right.
I didn't miss a beat, and I had plenty of hot water. I asked people if they needed to come over and take a shower. I felt guilty.
Yep.
But what I do want to say is, after an event, your phone rings like crazy. People finally make the decision to say, okay, I'm going to get one. Okay, I'm doing it.
Yep.
So they call you, and they want it done in 3 days. And the frustrating
Not gonna
thing is,
happen.
it's 3 months. It's 6 months.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Okay.
COVID, when you did the second one, we were in COVID.
That's right.
And that had lead times out really far.
Yep.
It's something also, when I started doing this 23 years ago, people didn't even know what a home standby generator was. You know, that it sits out there, that's in a weatherproof enclosure. It runs on propane or natural gas usually, or if bigger ones run on diesel. But people didn't even know that these things existed. And now what I think is that it has come to its time of fruition, that the industry has come to a time that we are so dependent on our electronic devices and our lifestyle that we to go without electric power for 3 or 4 days is really, really, I hate to, say that we thrive on chaos, but it really convinces a lot of people beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, this is just like you were. This is it. Not going to have it anymore.
Not doing it.
Don't want to do it.
Nope.
And so we had people, I was driving down in one of the gated communities, and I was driving over drop cords that were running from houses that had
Right.
generators across the street to houses that,
Portable generators?
Well, no, they were people that didn't have a generator.
Okay.
So we had houses that had standbys, and they would just plug a drop cord in, and they could run their neighbor's refrigerator for a while, take them on and off and balance those things. But a 4-day outage, is not something that is fun to be in without power.
I remember I had a hard time in my mind getting the cost set where I could say, okay, I'm going to make this commitment. I mean, it was an
Right.
$8,000 to $9,000 cost
That's
at the
right.
time, total turnkey.
Right.
And then, but spread over now, I've had maybe 5 events in 2 years, 5 events. Most of them have been in the winter. This power outage recently arguably was the worst.
In duration,
Yeah.
right? And
It was, but I am so at peace with it that the peace of mind that I have from just having the machine, knowing that if this happens, I'm prepared and I don't have to do a thing.
Well, you remember the time that you could build your own house and act as your own contractor, and it was a tax situation with people that knew something about building, and so they would build their own house, live in it for a year,
Right.
and then sell it.
That's right.
And so I had a guy that did that. I've done 6 generators. After I did the first one, it was just like you. And I've had other people that have done it, that they've moved someplace or they've decided to do more of the house
Yeah.
with the generator. But once you have that peace of mind, a home standby generator is a mechanical piece of equipment. It has all the same things that can happen with it that a car does, basically. No tires on it, but all of those things are the same. But what it really ends up at is that generator, that system, comes up as an insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
We hope we don't have to use the insurance policy.
That's right.
But daggone, it is good to know that it's there when you need it, and that's that peace of mind thing that and you can't really explain that to people until they live. When you live through it and then you go, yep, that's why I did it. Pat myself on the back,
Yeah. What I liked was the first time you came to the house that I had owned on Weymouth and then on North Valley. First thing you did was you kind of walked around the house like a surveyor to decide, first of all, where do you put the home generator?
Right.
And once it's set in place, it's hopefully close to an existing propane line,
Right.
or natural gas line,
Right.
and close to your panel boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I walk by it today and we have bushes around it. It's no different than looking at it like an HVAC unit.
That's right.
And I try to cover it up a little bit.
Right.
It doesn't change that lawnmower sound that we
Right,
hear
right.
echoing into the night.
Right.
But that becomes music to our ears because we know it's working.
Well, one of my cardinal rules is that I don't like to put a generator underneath somebody's bedroom window.
Right.
Right? But I've had customers that are like me that have some hearing loss, and they say, well, it doesn't bother me. And I just like hearing that beautiful sound to know that I've got power. So it is one of the things that you want to keep for your customer. You want to keep the electrical and either LP or natural gas installation costs as low as you can go.
Right.
And so you have people that have done it before who know how to do it right. They do it once. And you want them as close as they can be because there's less materials involved. And I don't know, copper prices for wire and everything have just gone crazy here in the last 2 years. I mean, it is one of the things that you really have to master, and then you have to go with what my grandmother called the customer's druther. I'd rather it be here than there. And you say, well, normally it's better for the electrician to make the longer run than the gas guys. But if you'd druther it be here, then we'll let the gas guys make the longer run.
Let's come back in the second set and
Yeah.
let's walk through the whole process, starting with your first visit to a home and your conversation with a homeowner about the process of deciding how to install it, where to install it. And one last question, compared to 2 or 3 years ago, have the prices of the generators gone up as much as everything else has seemed to go up in our economy because of supplies, demand?
There were certainly supply chain issues,
Yeah.
And then demand,
Yeah.
the laws of supply and demand
Right.
has gone up considerably. Kohler opened a new plant. So Kohlers are made in America.
Right.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi is the new plant, and they've always been made in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So everybody has components that come from all over the world that are in their products. So there were supply chain issues with that, and
The prices
I
have
think
gone up.
and prices have gone up. Not, we're looking for a new service van, and that's just crazy right now, Bill. I mean, it's just unbelievable what you go through. But no, they're not any cheaper. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Chris Rhule is our guest. We're talking about Kohler home generators, and we're going to come back and let's walk through the whole process in the second set for
Wonderful.
people, because I think there are a lot of people who will be taking notes.
I hope so.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
This is All Things. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County. We're speaking with Chris Rhule. Chris is the Kohler dealer here in Southern Pines. He's located at 940 South Bennett Street. Premier Power Generation is the name of the company, and he has just been designated as a Kohler Titanium dealer, which I assume means highest level of service and satisfaction.
Well, that's what we want. It's Kohler's highest home standby dealer
So
nomenclature.
you've been in the business for 23 years. Knowing what you know, why Kohler? There people can go online and get completely confused with claims, and everyone is, we all have a layman's understanding of things.
Yeah.
Why Kohler?
So, of course, you would, since I'm a Kohler dealer, you would think that, well, he's just trying to sell me on Kohler.
Right.
But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing that I would do is bring up an example. Moore County Sheriff James Wise in 2000 was the first generator that I ever put in, first home standby generator.
Okay.
That generator ran through this outage for 111 hours. That generator is still in service. So I put that generator in.
Was
That's
that during
the first
the
one I ever did.
snowstorm of 2000?
Mhm.
I
Yep.
remember. Oh God. Okay.
Yep.
I remember it.
That was the very first one that we did. Sheriff Wise has left us, and his wife has passed too, but she had been very ill, and he said, he was kind of like you. He says, I'm not having this anymore.
Yeah.
And he came, and we had just started doing generators. So I was Kohler small engine trained, and then and worked in small engine mechanic stuff after I did a 180 out of law school, quit before I was disinvited. But the engines that you work on, an engine is the heart of the generator. So I was Kohler first, and then we have a lot of military customers, and they were familiar with what was Onan generators. It's now Cummins Power Systems.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a large manufacturer. They're one of the big three of generator manufacturers. So when I started doing this, they were looking for home standby dealers. And so I could be sort of, if it was cars, I could be Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, all under one tent. So I started with Kohler, then I added Onan,
Mm-hmm.
then I added Caterpillar,
Mm-hmm.
then I added Generac,
Mm-hmm.
and then I added Briggs and Stratton, and a company called Magnum. And a lot of applications, it was good, better, best. And so there were things that we did as far as Nicole was asking me a while ago if home standby is all we do. It's not. We do small business. The biggest generator I've ever sold was 300 kW, which is 300,000 watts, which is huge, but it's not even what in the industry is called big iron. Big iron starts at 500,000 watts and goes on up from there. I never really was interested in that. I went through Hurricane Fran in 1996, and I don't like to be hot. So we had all these generators out in the field, and we service and repair any kind of generator.
Right.
But we saw which ones worked and which ones didn't. And I can just say this without trying to be mean, is that the one that you hear the most about is not the best generator by far. And I have 55 dead ones at my farm, and I can prove it to you. So I don't think there are many people that have been dealers for all of, they know they're one brand. And so I started out and learned all the different brands. And now for residential purposes, I can name you 100 different reasons why Kohler is the only one that I put on my house.
Okay. You get a phone call. Client says, I need to have you come out. I want to put a home generator on my house. You pull up in your truck, you meet, you get a sense of the client you're working with. What are the first things you're looking for to help them, advise them on what size they need? What does that whole interview look like?
Okay. So we call it a customer needs survey. And you're kind of like a surveyor because you're looking at the property and you're looking at what they want to run. But
right.
the very first thing that we do is based on safety. Is it going to be safe? So there are manufacturer's recommendations and there are inspection codes that you have to go by. So a generator has to be, the exhaust has to be 5 feet away from any door, window, or foundation vent. We don't want carbon monoxide to get in the house. And a generator, when it's running, makes carbon monoxide just like your car does.
Right.
So that placement is always key.
Right.
As a rule of thumb, I don't like to put a generator under somebody's bedroom window unless there is just no other way to do it, because it does make a sound. And I think one of the things that you would attest to is that sound is magnified because there are no other sounds going on when the power is out. People's air conditioners aren't running. You have no other ambient noise.
That's right.
So then the thing to do is we're looking at keeping I feel that it's my duty to my customer to keep the installation cost down. So I don't act as a contractor. I have people that are electrical contractors that I have worked with for over 20 years. One electrician in particular, we've lost count of how many projects we've done together. So I've put in over 3,000 home standby generators in 23 years.
Wow.
The owners change, things happen and everything, but we maintain a core of customers, and we maintain a pretty high percentage of our customers that bought the unit from us. And not only do they get taken care of by us, and that's really the thing. It's not just the initial sale and installation of the product that matters. It's who's going to take care of it. And people say, well, I can change oil. Well, there's more to it than that. Or, and there's electrical things that are involved that you really need to be a professional, that you never mess inside of your transfer switch. I think we showed you how it transferred the first time, and I never want you behind that panel, when it's actually operating.
Don't worry. not
no problems from
not
Bill.
going to happen.
So then there is, we come together with a fuel supply, which is either propane or natural gas, a spark-ignited engine that makes, by turning a rotating field inside of a stationary field, that makes we turn mechanical energy into electrical energy. And then we have to have a way to transfer safely. It can never, an automatic transfer switch, like a Kohler switch that's UL listed, cannot in any way, shape, or form backfeed to the power grid and possibly hurt a lineman or anything like that.
Right.
I show the customer how that works, and it's very simple in a lot of respects. But you don't see electricity, you don't smell electricity, you'll feel it, but people don't want to be around that part of it. So we have to have the electrical side of it, and we have to have the gas side of it correct, and it has to be so that the generator can operate at 100% capacity when it needs to. So those are the two critical things. And again, for the gas on the units and the gas piping, I have specific companies that have done these over and over and over again, so that it's done right, and you don't come up. And I come up to so many.
Yeah.
That haven't been done right
So
by other companies.
So the cost of a generator is X, and yet to get it installed, you have an electrical charge and you have a gas hookup charge.
That's
so
right.
you have two separate contractors. You come out, you oversee the whole thing.
That's right.
And then you get the unit itself installed. So if you're looking online and you see a price of $6,000 or $6,500 for a
Very misleading.
Okay.
Very misleading. Yeah.
You're going to almost have to add 30 to 40% to that, don't you?
I mean, what are you going to do? Your generator weighs 550 pounds. The pad, the concrete pad that the generator is on, weighs 550 pounds. So how are you going to get it up the driveway? How are you going to move that thing around? It takes people.
Right.
It takes, everybody's insured. All the electricians and gas people that we use are licensed, bonded, insured. I cannot start a Kohler generator up without it being inspected and signed off on by the local inspecting authority, whether it's Moore County or Southern Pines or Pinehurst. So when we go out and do one of these things, the first thing that I have in mind is safety. Then I see what the customer wants to run with the generator, and that really dictates the size of the generator. And if they go, whoa, that's way more than I thought that was going to be, well, sometimes that will happen. And then you offer alternatives. Okay, well, if we don't do this with this size of generator, I can go to this size of generator. Or if we don't, there are always ways. There, as my grandmother would say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So it's an old expression, but it's really true. And all of these things really go to how comfortable and how normal you want to be in your house. And right now, in reality, I sell KW, kilowatts, which is 1,000 watts, for less now than I did 10 years ago. Because we have air-cooled engines that can make the horsepower to run the generator rather than having to go with a liquid-cooled engine, like a car, which means a liquid-cooled engine means it has a radiator, and you put antifreeze in the radiator, and that's how the engine cools itself. An air-cooled engine doesn't have a radiator. It's usually twin cylinders. They are sound attenuated, which means they're fairly quiet, but are you going to know that it's on? Yes, you are going to know that it's on. I don't lie to anybody about that. But it's a nice sound to hear, as you say.
One of the other questions you ask in that interview is about the living habits of the people in the house.
That's right.
You go through a whole list of...
And it's not the square footage of somebody's house that changes that. I look where you live in the house. I want you to sleep warm in the winter. I want you to sleep cool in the summer. I want your refrigerator on. All these things, that come to bear. But also, it's the electrical footprint of the house that means so much. You have a big advantage because you have natural gas at your house, natural gas heat, and that is way different than a heat pump. So with a heat pump, we have to have another strategy to take care of that. And I can keep you comfortable in that house if you have a heat pump or if you have natural gas or propane and a gas furnace. But the more gas appliances you have in the house, the lower your KW needed from the generator is to run that house and keep you normal.
I think mine was a 20.
Yes, 20 kW.
And if it were propane...
it would be 20 kW, and you're on natural gas. So all natural gas is not as explosive. A reciprocating engine, a four-cycle engine, is a controlled explosion. And so, don't get scared. Anyway, the engine runs more efficiently or more powerfully on propane than it does natural gas. So your generator, when it's on natural gas, is 18 kW.
Yeah, I will tell you that once I made the decision, and then I wanted it installed in like 48 hours, and then I had to
Boy, did you want it installed in 48
then I had to be impatient for 90 days at
Yep.
least.
Yep.
Then I saw all the work that had to be done, clearing the beds, all the different contractors are over. I said, oh my God, what a mess.
Yep.
Today, I'm on the other side of it.
Right.
I have this attractive box around my plants. It's all hooked up. It's fine. When you get to the other side of it, there is that opportunity.
That's
that
your
people
return
will
on
have.
investment, isn't it?
That's what it is. Let's come back in the third set. We're speaking with Chris Rhule all about whole house generators, Kohler generators, and we've got a few more questions to ask, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to our third set. Chris Rhule from Premier Power Generation is here, trying to give us an overview on the generator's installation of a whole house generator, and it's no coincidence that we usually get together after an event,
Right.
whether it be weather or unfortunately the natural disaster that we had here a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And I understand that maintenance is a very important part of your installation process because you actually sit and you hold the new owner's hand and walk through the whole process. You have me living in 8-hour days. When I put that thing on, I even try to run it less than 8 hours and turn it off. And you used to say, don't ever run it for more than 8 hours and always check the oil.
Right.
Well, I didn't hear that. Here's what I heard. Run it for 8 hours and put some oil into it.
Yeah.
And you said, Bill, you could put too much oil into it, and
Yep.
that will do more damage.
Yep.
So I learned I run it for 6 or 7, turn it off, give it a rest like you would a car.
Like 30 minutes, you know. So this unnatural outage is like a trip that we had to take from Southern Pines to Los Angeles.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
No generator is made to run 4 days straight.
Right.
Do they do it?
Yeah.
All the time.
Do
There's
they
a whole
really?
lot of people. Oh, absolutely. But the manufacturers, most generators that are on homes are air-cooled engines, which are different than liquid-cooled engines, and they're supposed to use just a little bit of oil. So you did exactly the right thing, and it's even more important for people that are on propane to do that too, especially when you don't know when the power is going to be back on. So when you buy a Kohler generator, you've got a 10-year warranty on the generator. Kohler has specific things that they want you to do in order to preserve that warranty. And I don't ever want one of my customers to lose an engine. And I've never had that. I had one that the customer bought the generator on the internet. It was a Kohler. And he let it run for 165 hours straight during Hurricane Florence.
Oh, God.
Didn't know it had oil in it. Okay, it's an engine.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just like a car. It's the lifeblood of the engine is the oil. He burned up the back main bearing. Kohler has us go through with our Site Tech, which is a Kohler program for technicians. We plug into the computer. We can see every event that ever happened, whether it was turned on, off, anything like that. And it showed there was no shutting down of the generator. Warranty was void.
Yeah.
And all manufacturers are like that. And it doesn't matter what people say, well, mine ran for a week, you know. Can it do it? I had one that ran 2 weeks. Can it do it? Yes. Is it supposed to do it? No. So right now, Kohler has the best warranty in the industry. It's 10 years. You, still being under warranty with your generator bill, can add that 10-year warranty. They're letting people do that. So I think that's sort of a testament to their belief in their product.
Is the warranty transferable if the
Yes.
house is sold?
Yes.
Is there a fee for the transfer?
Not that I know of.
Okay. My generator's gone through, I guess, 5 events. I've got about 108 hours
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And how many hours?
You could actually run up to 150 hours by the manufacturer's stated specifications on one set of oil before you have to change the oil, okay?
Oh my goodness.
But you don't want to go that far. And if you take the oil out of one that has gone that far, you'll know why, because it looks like tar.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of vigilance, and like you say, we are, aren't we, Nicola, going to do a video for our customers that we will email to our customers about how to do this, because you can listen to me, and I do this even in my sleep in an afternoon, and then you sit there and the generator comes on once a week and does its exercise. You know, all the dust is settled, everybody's gone, everything's good with the generator, but you know, it's not a set it and forget it. We do the service on the generator, but when we have an unnatural event like we just have, or even a natural event of long duration, then you need to care for your generator. I don't want to replace somebody's generator with a void warranty. I don't want to make them pay for that. If a generator is going to have a catastrophic defect, you're going to see it in the first year of its operation. I mean, that has been my experience through 23 years of this.
So when you gave me that quart of oil as a gift, it wasn't to use it every time I turned the generator on.
No, Bill, it wasn't.
Okay. I'm good.
You got away with it, though. It was good.
I'm good.
It was all good.
You have me on a service program, and I don't know, is it once a year or twice a year when you come out?
The manufacturer says once a year, or we don't have mileage on generators like your car does.
Right.
Okay.
We
have hours of runtime.
Right.
So we base it on hours of runtime. So if I had 30 or 40 hours of runtime on your generator, then I might have that trip to Los Angeles coming up.
Right.
If we were a car.
Right.
So what would you do? So an hour on the generator at 60 hertz at 3,600 RPM is like we've gone 60 miles in that hour. So in 40 hours, you have 2,400 miles. Do you want to start a trip from Southern Pines with 2,400 miles on your car going to Los Angeles? No.
Right.
So we service the generators. Can they do more than that? Yes. But what we are doing now is changing oil, because we had a whole lot of generators run a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have another event. And so that's our challenge right now. Yeah. And we're meeting that, but you want to take care of your generator. That's all I want.
I called you, I think it was in September or end of August, and I said, hey, can we schedule that maintenance inspection now in anticipation, hey, we're going to go into hurricane season and winter. Let me check. It's like preparing your car for a long trip. That's right. It's a great analogy.
Summer trip and a winter trip, which is why I believe that the best thing to do is have your generator looked at twice a year before those two events start. So we're getting the car ready for anything that happens, and it's not just an oil change. There's a whole lot more that goes along with oil filters, air filters, spark plugs. The technician's ears, just listening to your generator startup, can tell you so much about a generator that the average homeowner just, it sounds fine to me. No.
Right.
I'm hearing a miss over here. What? No. Yeah.
Right.
So we're looking at all those kinds of things.
Okay. You have your office is at 940 South Bennett. I mean, people can stop in. You have literature.
Sure.
Do you have a model you can show them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And you go through the different sizes and pricing and this whole litany of things that they have to expect, because it's not just saying, I'll buy the generator, put it in, plug it in, and let's go.
It's fine if they come by the office. We can get them literature and things, but it's really, what really needs to happen is that site survey, and that's when we come out and actually do it. You can't really get that definitive answer until you do that. So 98% of what we do is at the homeowner.
So I've had mine for 2 years. I have 107 hours on the machine. Mm-hmm. How many hours can this machine run if it's well cared for?
So at the office, and because I have a generator that has 4,000, it's a Kohler, 12 kW unit. We have natural gas and not a big, it has 4,700 hours on it.
Okay.
And I will take the Pepsi Taste Challenge about any competitor out there with an air-cooled engine that has run that long. at factory, I've seen these units with upwards of 16,000 hours on them. But they were maintained immaculately and perfectly, and they're in a controlled environment and everything like that.
Do they make liquid cooled home generators?
Oh, absolutely.
And they're more expensive.
Yes, much more expensive.
Okay.
Almost 3 times the cost. The 20 kW unit that Kohler has for a home, and the technological advancement that we've had in load shedding. So even though it's a big house, I don't have to have a great big generator for it. I can turn some things off, and the customer never has to do that electronically, and we're good to go.
So the majority of people will put in air-cooled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, you talk about electric footprint. I think right away I think of square footage, and then I think how many people live in the house, how many people are using the.
All of that comes into play.
Okay.
You know, a household that has mom, dad, and 4 kids is way different than a household that has mom and dad, or just dad sitting there
with paper plates.
With paper plates.
Yeah.
Which
no dishwashers.
Environmentally unfriendly, but convenient.
That's right.
Right.
It's great to have you come in. It's sad that this was the reason that we had you in.
Absolutely.
But
I am beyond angry.
Yeah.
About this.
Yeah. We have to deal with power outages, and people that want to be informed, they should call you. They could reach you at 910-315-1099, or they can go to your website, www.premierpowergeneration.com.
Yeah, I would also say that 315-1099 is my cell phone number.
Yeah.
I may have made a tactical mistake in my business plan. Every customer has my cell phone number.
And yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about, don't you, Bill?
Yeah.
But the office number is 910-295-3188, and that's where you schedule a site survey. So Terry in the office, 910-295-3188 on that one.
Chris, enjoy, if you can. I know you've been busy this holiday season, this holiday week coming up, and appreciate you coming in, and I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, Chris. Everybody, have a Merry Christmas, and we're glad we had the opportunity to have Chris on this particular weekend. This is All Things Moore County.